Hey guys, so a few days ago, I had the great pleasure of welcoming on the program Mr. Grant Duffrin, director of the cult classic film Shrek Retold. Context for people who don't know what Shrek Retold is: Shrek Retold is the collaboration of
200.
different artists recreating Shrek, each one making an individual segment of the film. And I had the pleasure of talking with Mr. Duffrin about the film, and we had a really good conversation. He's a really funny dude. Uh, he's a little eccentric, which you would expect from someone who organizes Shrek Fest. By the way, what is Shrek Fest? Shrek Fest is a festival where people celebrate Shrek. There's stuff like onion eating competitions and stuff like that. It's held every year, except the previous year, obviously, because of the pandemic. But he's gonna talk about what Shrekfest is in the conversation as well. I'll put a little disclaimer up ahead before we start the video. Uh, I'm more of like a film guy, and Grant is more of a YouTube guy. Which there are some parts where I misunderstand what he says just because I'm not into YouTube as much as Grant, and vice versa. There's some parts he doesn't really understand what I'm saying because I come more from a film fan background and he's more of a YouTube fan. So just a disclaimer, so you guys know what you're getting into. There's some parts where we kind of don't understand what each other are saying. That's it. But other than that, it was a really good conversation. I'm really happy you guys are gonna eavesdrop on what we had to say to one another. So without further ado, please welcome Mr. Grant Duffrin. All right, well, I'm all set, so we can get going here. First of all, I just want to start this video off. I hate doing this, but I love your movie so much, Shrek Retold. Well, not just your movie, but the movie you collaborated on. I think it's such like a. I complain about animated movies not doing anything new. Like I grew up in the early 2000s with like Cartoon Network and stuff like that, and I feel like the animation there was so cutting edge. Everything kind of felt different, like a Beavis and Butthead. And I've always had that itch that needed to be scratched, and I feel like Shrek Retold got that to me, and it's just like a really fun movie. And yeah, I'm just a fan of what you did, and I kind of want to just spend this hour just like talking about like walking through the steps of how this came to be and stuff like that. Uh, First of all, before we jump into the movie, I'm gonna ask you a question. What makes Shrek so memeable?
Um, I don't know. Quick question. Did we start?
Yeah,
Are you recording video?
yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I just want to apologize for my messy room and my sweater with dog hair all over it. But let's jump into it. Let's go. Uh yeah, we to everyone listening at home, I just joined the Skype room or Zoom call, whatever it's called, and he's already asking me about memes. All right, let's do it.
Let's just jump into it. I don't bullshit around me.
Well, I I'm gonna be honest. I'm so bad at meme talk. I just did another interview today for a publication, and they kept asking me meme questions, and I suck at answering questions about memes. Your your question, you're wondering about Shrek as a meme, why it's so memeable. I have a question for you. What does it mean for something to be memeable? Because I think I know what you mean, but I want, in your words, what does it mean when something is memeable?
I think it's just when it catches on to like internet fan base and becomes the subject of parody all over the internet. You look at
Yep.
a movie like some other random animated movie from around that time, like Toy Story, something like that. People aren't making that many memes about Toy Story, and I'm just trying to figure out I don't know if it was luck of the draw, maybe it was. What sets apart Shrek compared to those other animated
What sets
movies?
apart Shrek? Well, I would argue. Okay, so you just brought up a ton of points. Let's work through them one by one. You say when something's memeable, it catches on in the internet, and yeah, that's totally what I was thinking when you say memeable. And you say, why Shrek out of all these animated films? What about Toy Story? I would argue, okay, these are two separate points. I would say Shrek gets memed a lot because it's so popular. I think everyone remembers that movie. Everyone loves it. It had a really wide appeal. So why is it memeable? Because it had a wide appeal. Why did it have a wide appeal? I don't know. Shrek was just one of those things. It was new. I remember seeing the trailer for Shrek in theaters, and I remember thinking, this is different. You know what I mean? Even the trailer, just seeing the trailer, thinking this is different, this is special. And you say, why not other movies like Toy Story? I think Toy Story does get memed on a lot, but it's kind of like, it's not like Shrek, because Shrek was edgy too. And it Shrek is like weirder looking than any of the characters in Toy Story. So I think that also helps. I think it's just, does it have a wide appeal? Like the ones I see a lot are Shrek, of course, but I don't trust my news feed because I think it's always going to be a little skewed towards Shrek stuff. You know what I mean? The algorithm is feeding me Shrek content. But another one I always see memed on is SpongeBob. And I think just because everybody knows what that is. And Simpsons too. These are the kind of things that people are aware of, people know. And Shrek is just in league with them. Shrek is a little newer than Toy Story and SpongeBob and Simpsons. So maybe it's like one of the newer properties that gets memed on.
Yeah, and you make a good point about the movie just looking different. And I feel like that look, a lot of like when you're young and you watch an animated movie, the story doesn't really stick with you. Your brain is still kind of Play-Doh at that point, but what sticks out is the visuals, and I feel like Shrek had such like a distinct look, just like the character design of everything, like John Lithgow's character, the Farquaad guy with the tiny legs. It just like yeah, it's like you said, it's like ingrained in our head. It had broad appeal. Uh,
Yeah, I wasn't even talking necessarily about how it looked different, but you're right. It did it did look different. I mean, because I think there's a lot of factors that go into that. But you look at it, this isn't Disney. Um, and I think also it's a product of the time it came out where everything looked like the humans look weird. They just straight up look weird. And I think with the sequels, the Shrek sequels, they hung on to the uncanny valleyness of their characters. Donkey also just looks weird because he's got like two human eyes that face forward, and the mouth like wraps around and is like an expressive human mouth. So yeah, Shrek, it does look a little twisted, but even beyond that, I was just the tone and everything of Shrek. Um, you know what I mean? At any moment, somebody could fart or belch, and it would be like, "Yep." It would it wouldn't be weird. It would fit. You know what I mean? Where you do that kind of stuff in other movies, like even in Monsters Incorporated, it would just be weird if somebody farted. Uh, Maybe it'd be normal. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. It looks different. It feels different. Shrek is just in a league of its own.
yeah, and like what you're saying is because Shrek was basically a fuck you to Disney. Uh, like the filmmaker, I think he got rejected from making a Disney movie, and he was pissed. And everything is kind of just like poking fun at Disney. Uh, like just the choices of music, which kind of seem dated today, but he wanted to throw in pop music just so like it stands out from a Disney movie, which has become a cliche by today's standards, but it was pretty
But
new.
what was the other option? Like, because that is a big thing with the Shrek movie is using pop songs. If they didn't use pop songs, what was like make original music? Would
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
like a Disney movie, like every what's it, Little Mermaid has their own songs, the Under the Sea.
Oh, do you think so? They did that, you think, to be subversive? Do you think
Yeah,
maybe
I think the
was it
filmmaker
cheaper
actually.
just to use songs that existed? It could have been a cost efficient thing to
No, I
do.
think the filmmaker actually said that it was intentional.
Oh.
So yeah, I think that's the story behind it. The filmmaker got rejected from a Disney movie, so everything he does in that movie is kind of like a fuck you to Disney, which it's again like going back to it. When you're a kid, you don't know this subtext. I'm pretty sure mainstream audiences today don't know that subtext, but yeah, like I feel like it's more that visual flair, uh, and all the memes that come from Shrek, like the meme of Shrek just doing that face, it goes with the character design, I feel. And yeah, but you bring up some good points as well. So, looking at, I want to like go through Shrek Retold, like from beginning to middle to end. When did was this your idea to do this movie, or was it someone else's and you were just kind of the spearhead?
Shrek Retold, I don't really remember. It's something I wanted to do for a long time. In general, just a remake. To remake something by reaching out to a bunch of different people. I just always thought that was a cool idea. Me and my friends always liked movies like the RoboCop remake, uh, stuff like that. I think the RoboCop remake, that's the one where I saw it and I'm like, "Oh, I love this idea. I love this idea." I think it was in 2014 that I saw that, and I actually tried to reach out to people to remake Shrek because at that point we've done our first Shrek Fest. So it was like, yeah, I want to remake a movie. It makes sense to do Shrek. We do Shrek Fest. So I reached out to people and nobody responded. And good thing nobody responded because I didn't even know what I was doing at that point. But 4 years later, or actually 3 years later in 2017, I understood how to do things a little better and started reaching out to people for Shrek Retold. And that's when I actually started getting some people responding because at that point I had a website and stuff where I could show people physical proof that I I don't know, I can do things. I'm capable, I'm competent. And yeah, I got people on board for Shrek Retold. Was it my idea? Yeah. Where did it come from? I think just a variety of things. The big thing I look back is I think it was the RoboCop remake. That was the big thing.
It's kind
Cause
of crazy that you say the RoboCop remake, because when I look at the RoboCop remake, it's pretty tonally similar to the original RoboCop, compared to what you did with Shrek Retold. It's so tonally out there compared to the original Shrek.
yeah, you're right. The Shrek Retold goes off the rails a lot more. I think it's with the RoboCop remake, they were probably contacting actual production companies and supplying a budget, where Shrek Retold was just asking people on the internet that I've never met before to do something for free. That's probably why it was a lot crazier because it was a much crazier environment to work in creatively.
Yeah, and a lot of that craziness is what makes the movie so fun to watch. Uh, when I first watched this movie, I was with my friend, and my friend took an edible before watching Shrek Retold.
Are you allowed to say this?
Uh, Depending on I'm in Canada, so I'm allowed. But but yeah, maybe I might cut this part out. I don't know.
I'm
But
just joking. But that what a wonderful experience for him.
yeah, no, we didn't make it through the whole movie. He kind of bad tripped. He like we had to.
Good. At what point in the film did he get triggered?
The one that did it for him was the Duloc sequence, where they do like, well, Duloc is the because it was just the right amount of demented to it. But yeah, he wasn't
The
happy.
Rat Boy Genius part?
No, the part where they go to the Duloc amusement park,
And
and
the little puppet starts singing?
yeah.
Yeah, that's Rat Boy Genius.
Oh, okay.
That's the name of the creator.
My bad.
That's so funny that that was what horrified him because Rat Boy Genius is so pure and like so innocent. I understand if he got a little freaked out because there is something to like the robotic voices and the way the eyes are always like open like that. I get it, but Rat Boy Genius itself is so like loving and like safe. That's funny.
Yeah, I think it was just more the context of it too, but the whole movie was the person wasn't really having it. Uh,
It keeps you on your edge because you don't know what you're about to see. Watching Shrek Retold, especially for the first time, it just always feels like, what is around the corner? Like I'm about to come, like you never know. Like when a scene is like totally coming to an end, you just know there's gonna be like, I don't know, something. Um,
yeah, and not only that, but like even like in Shrek, when there's like scenes where it's just Donkey and Shrek talking and like rambling, and it's kind of a boring scene. The fact that you chose to do it in this style, even boring dialogue scenes, like they become like interesting because you just don't know what's gonna happen. And these artists, they're given one shot basically. It's like do this scene. This is your time to shine. So of course they're gonna throw everything at you, and it's just at the end of the day you just get thrown with so much stimulus. It's such a fun ride, this movie, and yeah, let's talk about the bits themselves a bit more. I'm just gonna list off my favorite bits, and maybe you can give me some like behind the scenes, how you got a hold of them, any.
okay, yeah, let's go through it. What are some of the moments that caught your attention?
All right, so I think my favorite one. Now, no diss to the other artists because they're all pretty good. My favorite part was probably the Robin Hood moment by Equivalent Exchange. I thought
Broken
that was
Pickles and Equivalent Exchange. Yeah, they knocked it out of the park.
I got my boots and my boots on. You can ride on my donkey. I wear my pants so tight around my body. I'm a married man, I'm not trying to hide it. My bump is bulging and beating.
yeah, that whole sequence. I think it's just because like it stood out a lot because it looked so different, and it was a flat out musical number as well, which I really.
Yeah,
How did you get a whole like? Were you fans of them before or?
absolutely. I know Damon Scott of Broken Pixels, and I met him at this at one point in time. Nintendo had brand ambassadors. Maybe they still do it, and they just dropped me from their program. I wouldn't be surprised, but I was in this program where Nintendo would, like ask you, could you make a video for this or make a video for that? And both Damon and I met at this gathering that they hosted, and he was cool. He was one of the people that were really down to earth, um, and took actually talk to me. If you talk to me, I'll consider you down to earth. Everyone else is just too cool. I get it, but we did this series called Super Smash Tournament, and he was a guest commentator in Super Smash Tournament 3. That was the first time we collabed on something after meeting at that party. And I don't know, I love his stuff. I love what he does. And when it came time to do Shrek Retold, I'm like, okay, I want to reach out to him, but more specifically, I want him for the Robin Hood part. There were very few people that I reached out to for Shrek Retold where I knew which part I wanted them to do. For the most part, it was just do whatever you want. Rat Boy Genius, who we just talked about, he was one of them where I knew I wanted him to do Welcome to Duloc because he does musicals, and the dolls felt robotic the way that his characters feel robotic. So it just like that feels right. And then Damon with the Robin Hood scene, I was like, that feels right. That like he would come out of nowhere and perform this Robin Hood song, but it'd be in the style of a rap, of course. Let me rap it to you. Just felt like that. And then another one was David Liebehart, who did the puppet Hallelujah. That was another one where it's like,
That's
okay,
another one I have listed out here.
that's one of your moments.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones.
I heard there was a secret choir that David played and pleased the Lord, but I didn't know really. Do you care for the music, do you?
And especially I love the fact that you kept the outtake in there.
Yeah, well, I included a lot of like we originally wanted him for just a song, but something happened. Oh, JC Catlin, who did a vlog instead of doing his scene. JC Catlin, there's a guy like like 65% into the movie. He comes on screen and says, "Well, today's the deadline for the Shrek remake, and I have a confession. See, I didn't want, he does that whole spiel. which I fucking love. I think is genius, and I think that's what. Let me say that he got a lot of hate for that, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I think during like at the end of the second act, beginning of the third act, to go away from it for like a minute and a half and just to have somebody talk to the camera about I've never seen Shrek. Like, oh my God, I think that's what gives Shrek Retold its flavor. Cause it's like at that point, you're almost done, and then that happens. It's like, yeah, I truly don't know what's gonna happen next. So his scene that he originally had though was when Donkey and Shrek have their big apology and their big makeup. They're like, you know what? I'm this way. Oh yeah, well you shouldn't be. Well, I wish you were more like this, but I'm not. Boom, 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 boom. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, we have to reach an impasse. I'm sorry. It's all right. Let's go save the day. And then they go. That's cool. That moment was lost in JC's part. So when David Liebe Hart was doing his scene, I was like, hey, by the way, could you like, I wrote down 5 questions. And I think the questions were like, Shrek just exploded to his soulmate. What's the next course of action? And David, who's very in tune and emotionally intellectual, immediately answered the question. And it was Jonah, his manager, my point of contact, who helped me organize this shoot. Because, David's in LA. I'm up in Wisconsin. But yeah, he just asked those questions, and David naturally just answered them. Like, what makes Donkey a good friend might have been one of the questions. And then he just riffed on it. And I knew that that emotional moment of Shrek and Donkey, I'm sorry, let's be friends again. I knew that David could pick up the slack with that moment, and he did. So that's why there's what you call them outtakes. But I was trying to fill the padding because also the movie is in sync with Shrek. You could watch both movies at the same time and they're in sync. And when Shrek Retold obviously goes wildly astray, but it'll always get back in sync at a certain point. So yeah, that's David's part. He was just supposed to do the song, but his part definitely got fleshed out into a more meatier part.
Yeah, that's a thing I didn't know that you just brought up there. I didn't know you can play the 2 movies simultaneously in the lineup. That's actually a pretty neat little detail.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's like from the moment you see the DreamWorks logo in the beginning to the moment the end logo at the very end of the credits disappears, it's on sync with the movie. And there's parts in the middle where it goes wildly off tangent, but it always snaps back at its earliest convenience.
That's and you're kind of like the music conductor in this whole thing. You're probably just given all of these clips and you had to find like tonally, because the movie does fit tonally. You have to fit tonally. Okay, this goes here, this goes there. And you're credited as the editor of this film as well. And I was wondering, was that a challenging task that you had to do?
No, because Shrek is such a good movie. They lay down the blueprint, and I didn't know if I could pull off it being the same pace, the same timing as the movie, so I didn't tell people that. I said, just, if you get a short scene, keep it short. If you get a long scene, keep it long. Just the most important thing I told people is the emotion. If you get a scary scene, it should be scary. If you get a funny one, it should be funny. But if you get like a slow scene, then take it slow. I think matching the emotional ups and downs in the movie was the most important thing. And it was just kind of an afterthought that it could be the same timing. So when it came down to editing, I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to make it the exact same timing. And it ended up working.
Yeah. Well, not only are the clips in this movie like pretty phenomenal, the movie has a pretty killer soundtrack, and a lot of it is covers from the original Shrek. But I thought there was so much attention paid to the music of this film, especially I think your bit is the intro, and they're playing like that Bon Iver version of All Star.
Somebody once told me the world's gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking down with her finger and thumb.
I thought that was brilliant, playing that little acoustic version of All Star. It really sets the tone of the movie perfectly. was the process of choosing the musicians any different from the process of choosing the people to make the actual scenes?
The music.
Because I feel like there's a lot of attention put into it. Like when you go on your website, you can purchase the soundtrack alone, uh, stuff like that. And
Well, I want to make it clear that you can get it for free on the website
oh,
in the
my
shop.
bad. Sorry. Don't listen to me, guys. You can get it for free, but where was I going? Yeah, there was a lot of attention put into the soundtrack to this film. Was there an actual reason why, or just you thought it would be a cool component to throw in, or maybe it's because the Shrek movie had such a memorable soundtrack itself, you wanted to uh, pay homage to it in that respect too?
Yeah. So is your question, why did we keep the same songs?
Just
Or what was the process in choosing who does what
yeah,
songs?
exactly.
Well, there's a few I knew right off the gate. Like Rat Boy Genius doing that part, and Broken Pixels Equivalent Exchange doing Robin Hood song. The one wild card. Oh, and my buddies Kevin and Peter Vartanian did the beginning song, All Star, which, man, they did so good on that. I love that. The one wild card was Hot Dad, who did the end song, I'm a Believer. Because I tangentially knew Hot Dad. At this point, I wasn't familiar. I knew Hot Dad. I really wanted him on the project. He was on my initial list. When I first divided this scene when I first divided the movie by beats and wrote a list, this is who I want to be on this project. On that first draft of my wish list, Hot Dad was on there. And I knew a friend of mine does video work for Hot Dad. So Nolan, shouts out to him. Great teen vids, 14 kids. I love that guy. He reached out to Hot Dad and sent him a list that I made that was like, here's what songs are available. So, I already had some people in mind for certain songs, and there were some more songs that needed to be done. And that list was sent to Hot Dad, and Hot Dad chose the end song, I'm a Believer, which was not on the list. That was not an option. I wanted to personally take care of that song myself. The same way I oversaw All Star, I wanted to have a hand in Believer. But he ended up I'm doing Believer, and he did it, and then he sent it, and I'm like, oh, I guess we have no choice. He's doing it. And then I listened to it. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. This is perfect. That Believer cover that Hot Dad was amazing, and it completely dictated what the video was. Because I shot the video for Believer, I was like, okay, it's gonna look 80s. You know what I mean? It just completely dictated it. So yeah, that was definitely a wild card.
So you wanted to do the Believer song. Was it still gonna be like an 80s style song?
No, it was. We didn't know it was gonna be, but I just wanted to bookmark the film. I wanted to do the beginning and the end. 3GI bookmarking it. But he went rogue and did a song that he did the end song, and he just knocked it so out of the park where it's like, yes, this is better than anything I could have thought up going 80s version.
Yeah. The last bit I want to bring up here, and like some of these segments, they're done by amateur filmmakers, and they have like a limited budget, and it kind of shows, but you still kind of respect the hustle. The one bit that really stands out to me as just being crazy good, like even by modern film standards, is that anime sequence when Shrek is in the arena fighting the guards. Who did that segment again?
Do you talk about the anime scene? That was Narmak.
Yeah, yeah. So any like cool detail, because that has to be as well like top like favorite parts. How did you come across this person?
I knew him because he's huge, and I reached out to him. I'm like, he's not gonna respond, but he did. He was totally down to do it because I think he's on the same wavelength as Meeman on Shrek. he's done some Attack on Titan spoofs, but it's like Shrek is the Titan, I believe. So he was on the same wavelength with that, and I just sent him the scene, and he was totally down. And yeah, he did such a freaking good job on that. And then DJ Doug Pound doing the music. I found some stems from the actual recording of the Joan Jett Bad Reputation song, and I was like, hey, I got these stems for the song. Can you do a remix of this? He's like, yeah. And so he did a remix. Narmak did the animation, and then I put them together and added some sound effect worked, and it just like worked. It was like, damn, this song works with the visuals. It just all worked. So that's a big reason why I love working on projects like this, because it's a big artistic experiment, and we just get to do something, have two people work on two different things, and then merge them together, and it's like, holy shit. But it's all due to Shrek just working as a movie. You know what I mean? We're just following the blueprint they laid out.
Yeah. What are some bits that you'd like to like throw out there if you have any cool stories about some of how these bits came to be? Any particular bits you would throw out there?
Well, I mean, I've seen enough comments and stuff to know like what the main things people say. Sorry. The main questions everyone asks is like, "Oh, how'd you get Chris Chan?" That's a huge one. Chris Chan. How did I get Chris Chan? Was another person that was like on my wish list, my initial wish list, and I can't believe that one went through. But that Chris Chan was a contact of somebody else who was on the project, so they helped get her onto the project. The second most asked question is, what was it like working with Christine Weston Chandler? And normal, like no, it was just she drew the pictures and sent them to me, and then I scanned them and cut them out and did animations, and then she watched the scene on her phone and narrated it, and that was the narration. So yeah, those are the two most asked questions. So what else do people ask about? I don't know. I'm just inundated with questions about Chris Chan getting involved. Is there anything else that stands out to you?
That's all I wrote here. What are some other sequences? I'm not as to be honest, I'm not much of a YouTube guy, so like the names are kind of.
I understand that. You don't know who Chris Chan is. What you're saying?
Yeah. Well, which scene did Chris Chan do?
They did directly after the anime fight scene. It was crude Crayola colored pictures of Farquaad and Shrek and Donkey, and they're first told about their quest by Lord Farquaad. So yeah, I mean, if you don't know who Chris Chan is, okay, fair enough. That just means you're a normal person. But I'm super into internet culture, and Chris Chan is royalty in internet culture, and so are a lot of other people that were on this project, like Sick Animation and like Narmak, I'd say. Just so many cool internet folks on the project.
The one guy, the one guy I did recognize from before was actually David Liebhardt, because I remember I saw him on Adult Swim. He was on Tim and Eric. That's where I saw him before.
Yep, I'm a big Tim and Eric fan, so I had to get David Liebhardt in there. David Liebhardt, like such a big role in forming my humor in high school. Salome, I love Tim and Eric, so yeah, that was cool to get him in on the project.
It makes sense that you say that, because the movie itself, Shrek Retold, has a very Tim and Eric vibe to it, just in the sense that it's like Tim and Eric's comedy is like you just never know what they're gonna throw at you, and that's much of the style in Shrek Retold. It's like you just don't know what's coming at you next.
Yeah, keep them on their toes. Yeah, and I really like Adult Swim. I like the kind of stuff that they put out, the kind of stuff they take chances on, and the experimental nature of their programming. So I get those kind of comments a lot, like, "Oh, this is something that would air on Adult Swim." So I take
really
that as a
does,
compliment.
it's like I said at the beginning, it it really scratched that itch I feel is lacking, because I think we're relatively the same age, if I had to guess. But we kind of grew up. I grew up on Nickelodeon in the early 2000s and the 90s, Cartoon Network, and you just had these weird shows like Courage the Cowardly Dog. And there's something about animation now when I look at it. Not that it's bad, it's just it feels so sanitized and squeaky clean. So when I watched Shrek Retold for the first time, it just had that like gritty look to it. It just felt like a crazy animation film, something really different. Do you kind of share those sentiments? Just that this is like taking risk in a world that's kind of sterilized when it comes to animation?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, and I don't want to make any statements about the animation industry. Not that not like anything I say matters, but I don't know what it is. I don't, most stuff that's on TV, I'm not going to enjoy. Stuff like Shrek Retold. If I saw Shrek, if I didn't know anything about it and I didn't make it and I saw it, I'd be so psyched. Cause yeah, I want to see stuff that's totally off the wall, totally unhinged. I want to like watch something that makes me feel scared. Like it could hurt me by watching it. I'm not saying that's what Shrek Retold is, but I think a lot of people want to watch something comfortable. And I don't. I want to watch something, fucking nuts. But I totally get why that stuff isn't mainstream. People want to watch something they can understand. I totally get that.
You see, I feel like you're a bit more forgiving than me, because I feel like there is a market for that. Whoever, like, when I've shown Shrek Retold to some of my friends, they never heard of the movie, but they enjoy it just as much as you and me, It's like, it does feel so out there, and I don't know, if something like a Cartoon Network or one of these animation channels wanted to watch a Shrek Retold, or wanted to put a Shrek Retold rather, I think it would do gangbusters. It would get everyone talking. I don't know, maybe that's just me.
Yeah, well, I wonder how that would be packaged for a TV show, like the Shrek Retold thing. How would you package that up for a show? That's interesting.
Or maybe like you said, like at the beginning, SpongeBob is pretty memed. Yeah, I'm sure you can do the same thing with every SpongeBob episode. Like, I would like to see like animation take more risks. The one I find is really sanitized is the Disney movies, where the character design just feels the same. Like, you show me a character from Frozen, I don't know what movie it is. And that's something I love about Shrek Retold. It's like, not only is the character distinct, is distinct from scene to scene. So just, yeah, praise for that. Uh, Kind of brings up an interesting question to me. Uh, and how do I say this? There is that kind of still bit stigma when it comes to kind of YouTube stuff in like film culture. Because I'm a bit more of a movie guy, not as much as a YouTube guy, but I really do appreciate YouTube. Do you ever see a point where that kind of stigma kind of stops and a movie like a Shrek Retold that's released on YouTube kind of reaches like a mainstream audience?
What was what was the question?
Yeah, so I feel like there's such a divide between film culture and YouTube culture. I tend to be more film, but I do appreciate YouTube. Do
In
you
what
ever
way?
see Yeah, do you see a situation where uh something that's released on YouTube can hit mainstream culture, something like you did with Shrek Retold? Just like something like a theatrically released film would.
What's I don't know. What's the question?
My
What?
bad, I'm sorry.
No, no worries.
So yeah, there's I don't know. Do you feel that there's a stigma between uh, film culture? I don't know if you're too familiar with film culture, but do you think there's like some stigma that people look down at YouTube as being this lesser like art platform in
I don't think that. I think you do.
No, I don't think that as well. I feel like there's people out there who think that. And
I hear what you're saying. You're saying you like Shrek Retold, but why is it just free on YouTube? That seems like it would be something that would take less work, would just be free on YouTube. I I think I like the aesthetic of, I don't know. I totally get what you're saying, but I like the aesthetic of just being free on YouTube. Like it has such a fuck it vibe. That's
that
just what I'm after. Like it drives me fucking crazy when there's like a weird experimental film and it's like all I can find on YouTube is a trailer or something. And it's like, oh, pay this much money on this website and then you can watch it. It's like, what do I have to go pirate this? Just put it for free. And then if people like it, they can buy it merch to support you. That's what I figure. Like, show me the art first, then I'll pay. That's my attitude towards it. Show me the product, make it free, be brave.
and you do put your attitude behind it, I find it, which makes it a lot more interesting. Like I went on your merch store, and it's you can't buy it on Blu-ray from what I understand. It's only available on VHS, which
Well, this is my attitude. First of all, you can download the digital package for free on the website. It's all free. This is all free shit. It's just for fun because I don't want to ever be in a situation where somebody's getting mad at me. You know what I mean? So just make it free because whenever money gets involved, people start getting mad. So, but I offer it on VHS. Why not Blu-ray? Me personally, I don't want physical media. I don't see the point. Give me a file I can put on my computer. And then there we have it on the shop. But if you do like physical media, I'm going to offer you something weird, and that's a VHS. And the VHS works. You can put it in your VCR. But yeah, I've like, that's my mentality is, why do you want physical media? Just get it digital copy. That way it's on a computer. It doesn't take up space. But if you really want something for your shelf, I'll offer you a VHS, and it works and it looks cool. It's got like a label on it and the sleeve, and I have little inserts and I shrink wrap them. Each VHS is like a little piece of artwork is what I feel like, especially because I like cut everything out and bend it and glue it by hand, like all the boxes and everything. So they're all handmade. But yeah, I just trying to be different, I guess, just trying to stand out in a environment where everyone's an artist, everyone's doing something.
yeah, I can admire that, and I'm one of the people who did purchase the VHS just for the fuck of it. Well,
Hell yeah.
it was to support. I don't even have a VCR, but I think it just, like you said, it looks cool on a shelf, and I am a physical media kind of guy.
That's what everyone says, like that buys it. That's like, I don't even have a VCR. And I wanted to offer VCRs on the website, but it costs too much to ship a VCR, and I don't know where to find them. But yeah, it's if you want physical media, there's something funny for you. Let's put on a shelf.
I want to talk about like what else you're doing outside of Shrek Retold. So you also did another film, similar style to Shrek Retold, called Sonic Rebuilt. And can you just maybe explain to the audience what that movie is?
Yeah, Sonic Rebuilt is basically Shrek Retold, but with a Sonic movie from the 90s, one that I watched. So like when there's all this buzz about a new Sonic movie, I kept thinking about that Sonic movie from the 90s. And I'm like, I just want to do a reanimated with that. And I already had so many people knocking on my door, like, I want to get involved with the project, that I was like, I could fill this project out in no time. So yeah, just divided the movie by shot and then let people claim scenes and then released it. And what's interesting with that one is when I first started the project, I looked up that movie and I found it on YouTube, and it was on there without being detected. The audio wasn't detected. So I'm like, oh, if you did a reanimated of this movie, you could just upload it like to YouTube with the audio and it wouldn't be an issue. So that kind of attracted me to it because I don't know if you know what reanimatieds are, but it's a whole genre on the internet of creative projects where they take like an episode of a show, like a SpongeBob episode or Steven Universe episode, and or a Super Mario Super Show, and they'll just separate it by shot and have people reanimate it. So yeah, I wanted to try that with Sonic. But now I realize, like, if I want to put that on VHS too, because I feel like that movie, like, in particular, just belongs on VHS, because that's how I watched it growing up, was on a VHS. But since I used the original audio, I'm like, oh shit. So now I'm like going back after doing it and redoing the audio so it's all original, but I'm doing it different where I'm casting somebody to play. Each character gets somebody that's playing them, and it's the same voice throughout the whole movie. So like I'm trying something different here. It's going to be like a redub almost, and I think it'll help with the anime feel that movie has. But yeah, so to answer your question, Sonic Rebuilt is like Shrek Retold, but it's a different flavor. It's a different beast.
All right, and from what I hear, you're also working on a Shrek Retold too. I don't know how much truth there is to that, because you kind of dropped it as a April Fool's joke about a year ago, and is it still up in the air, or?
Yeah, I'm working on Shrek 2 Retold, and in that video, the video you mentioned, was an April Fool's video that was called Shrek 2 Retold. I tricked people into thinking that I was working on a sequel, but in the video, I can't remember what I said, but I think I said I'm not, and I'm not going to. But I would love for other people to take it upon themselves, which some people did. Some people in the 3GI Discord, they started up Shrek 2 Retold, and I kept like guiding them, giving them advice, but then sooner or later I found myself back in the captain's chair, and we've been working on Shrek 2 Retold for some time now, way longer than the 11 months it took to make Shrek Retold 1. I think with the first one, I had yet to prove myself that I was competent and would be able to finish the project, and I myself didn't know, so I kept it a secret. I just worked on it quietly in private, because I wasn't sure if it was even going to work out or happen, but it ended up, happening. Cool. That's awesome. So now with Shrek 2 Retold, I'm not so worried about. During the first one, I was obsessed with working as fast as possible and just letting momentum push me. I was like, once this gets rolling, I don't want to lose momentum. So just keep going, keep going, keep going. Worked on it every day, every day, every day, every day. And every decision was like, good enough, let's go, good enough, let's go, good enough, let's go. Just, I need to get it done. I just need to finish it. I need to prove that it can be done. Because I was like scared by a lot of the responses I got when I reached out to people. A lot of people were like, oh, this is impossible. When people reanimate things, they just choose something that's like 20 minutes tops, and you can't do a CGI movie. I had so many people lecture me like why it wasn't possible and why I was making a mistake. They're like, this is too recent. The shots are too dynamic and the shots go on too long and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, geez. Oh, and you're trying to redo the audio? That's a big mistake. I'm like, all right, sorry. So now with the second one, I think we proved that we can do it. So I'm taking my time with this, and yeah, just taking my time, working through it more meticulously. That's the main difference with this Shrek 2 Retold. But yeah, I'm excited. I don't know when it'll be done. I'm not rushing it or anything. I'm just working on it while I go. You know what I mean? There's no disadvantage to taking my time, unless it feels like I'm procrastinating or dragging my feet. But with working with this project, I'm working with a partner, and that definitely takes a lot of the strain off. So shouts out to Connor Japitsky. I always say his name wrong, and he always gives me shit for it. Connor J, I love you.
So what kind of drew you back to the captain's chair for this? You had some skepticism at first. Whoa.
I think I just needed time to chill, because it was like too traumatic to do it again right after doing it. It was just too It was too like I needed to chill for a bit. I needed a year just to not think about Shrek, which is hard to do when you host Shrekfest. Do you know about Shrekfest? You haven't asked me about it.
Oh, I was getting to that as well.
Oh, got it. We will arrive there organically. But yeah, I just needed a little break from Shrek Retold before I could jump back into Shrek 2 Retold. But I'm glad I'm back in it, and I already know like I might think I don't want to do it right now, but I do want to do Shrek 3 Retold.
Oh, damn. All right. I'll be here to watch it. But yeah, well, let's actually jump into Shrek Fest. What is this Shrek Fest? Because I'm not familiar with it. As I said at the beginning, I'm in Canada, so I'm far away from everything. So,
Not
but
really. Where do you are you allowed to say where you live in Canada? Because I'm in Wisconsin, which borders Canada.
I'm in I'm far from Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're just gonna have to. There's people that come from the UK, Australia. Somebody came from China, so no excuses. I'll see you at Shrekfest. But what is Shrekfest? It is a fest all about Shrek, and I'll just go through the origin story. Once upon a time, my friends showed me a very amusing Facebook event page called Shrekfest. I couldn't believe my luck that there was a festival all about Shrek an hour away from where I live. So me and my friends, we were all set to go to it. We were pumped. And then of course we find out it was fake, like a couple weeks before the event was supposed to happen. And logically, I was like, okay, this event that has 1,000 people saying they're going to go to it is not real. I will make it so. There's basically a car sitting there, like running, and they left the doors unlocked. So I'm like, I will take this. So I took Shrekfest. It is mine now. And it's an event that we run every year. We didn't do it last year because of COVID, and we're not doing this year because of COVID, but it'll be back next year. Been doing this since 2014. And yeah, it's an outdoor festival. I get bands to play every year, and we do games like onion eating contest, roar contest, costume contest. And the night ends where we watch Shrek out in the grass on a big projector. So it's pretty epic.
You know what? I think you convinced me. I think I'm gonna have to make it a rendezvous at some point. But yeah. Basically, do you have anything else you want to plug? What else are you up to? Like you seem to be pretty busy with the Shrek 2 retold, but what else have you been up to lately?
Just working on those are the three things I'm working on. Prepping for Shrekfest this year. Working on Shrek 2 Retold, collecting pieces. We have about 60% of the movie completed. Just working on the 40%. And doing a redub of Sonic Rebuilt so I can put it on VHS where it belongs. But yeah, those are just my little art projects I'm working on. Yeah, just staying busy with art.
Well, that's awesome. We can call it here if you got nothing other to plug. And I just want to thank you for doing this. It was a fun time. Again, I'm a huge fan of Shrek Retold. I think it's such a clever movie that it feels good to get a look behind the camera and see how you orchestrated this whole thing. And yeah, just a big ol' thank you. And I hope Shrek 2 Retold and all your other projects go well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you reaching out. It makes me feel special.
You are special. You did this movie for free from the kindness of your heart. It takes a true artist to do something like that.
If I could figure out how to get somebody to pay me to do this kind of stuff, I'd be doing it. But until then, I'll just do it for free.
I'll be there to watch it. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.